I'm Bree, this is Sarah.
Hello.
Do you want to plug your channel?
Oh yes, the YA Room. Go check it out. Thanks.
She's also the YA Room on Instagram and Twitter. And you know, I'm the Bookish Bree on Instagram and Twitter. And we are here at the Odyssey Literary Festival. We're here to listen to, let's focus on Sarah as well. We're here to listen to authors speak and tell us all about their writing. We're here for most of the YA events. And later on at an event I won't be at, Lucy will be launching there's an anthology launching that Lucy is part of, RMIT Teacher.
Yes.
So I wish her all the best. It is so pretty.
Love it.
The lights were changing colours before, but now they're all red and it's giving me like vibes. So I've been watching crime scene cleanups recently, so this is kind of giving me crime scene cleanup vibes.
Yeah, so nice.
Yeah, I'm a bit weird. Alright, well let's get into the vlog.
What's it called?
Is the author of Ida, which won the People's Choice Award at the Victorian Premier's Literary Awards 2017. Their second novel, Highway Bodies, was published earlier this year, and they are a contributor to the new anthology Kindred, 12 Queer Love Oz YA Stories. They are based in Melbourne. Nina Kenwood is a writer who lives in Melbourne. She won the 2018 Text Prize for her debut young adult novel, It Sounded Better in My Head. The book tells the story of 18-year-old Natalie, who's dealing with her parents breaking up, her best friends getting together, and her own potential romance. Set in the summer between high school and university, it's part feel-good rom-com and part awkward coming-of-age. Astrid Scholte has spent the last 10 years working in film, animation and television as both an artist and manager. Career highlights include working on James Cameron's Avatar, Steven Spielberg's The Adventures of Tintin and George Miller's Happy Feet 2. She lives in Melbourne with her fiancé and two cats, Lilo and Mickey. Oh, Lilo, as in and Stitch. Lilo of Lilo and Stitch fame. Her debut YA novel, Four Dead Queens, was an international bestseller. Her second novel, The Vanishing Deep, will be released on the 3rd of March 2020. Our moderator, Daniele Binks, is a Melbourne-based author and literary agent with Jacinta Di Marse Management. In 2017, she edited and contributed to Begin, a Love Oz YA anthology. Danielle's debut middle grade novel is coming out with Hachette Australia next year, titled The Year the Maps Changed. Please welcome our wonderful authors and moderator to the stage.
This feels a little bit like a graduation. So can we just keep the applause going, please? Yeah, thank you. And graduated. Hi, I'm Daniele Binks. Lovely to be here. Before we kick off, I just want to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people who are the traditional custodians of this land. The first kind of official question to kick this off, the thoughtful question. An American 2012 survey found that 55% of YA readers are adult. Can we get a show of hands? I can kind of see you all. Hands up if you are an adult. No longer a teenager. Cool. Hands down. Hands up if you are an adult who reads young adult literature. Oh, that's 55%. Okay. So adults who read YA are the largest and growing segment for the market of YA literature. And specifically, it's adults aged between 30 and 44 years. Let's do a, no. Get that specific. So adults between 30 and 44 account for 28% of all sales of young young adult literature. Let's just unpack that for a second. And I'm going to do a little bit of commentary when I do these questions as well. So this is the commentary bit, and then we'll get into the official question. I think, and having just gone through all of our YA pop culture and teen pop culture touchstones, I think this is a little bit reflective of Generation Z or Z, who are now adults, and that's me. And we were the first people who were teen readers who had young adult literature actively marketed to us in a really big way. So we are the generation of Babysitter's Club and Goosebumps. The first Harry Potter book came out in 1997, and that all sort of clearly left their mark on the readership. And you know, you can go through the whole thing about the Outsiders kind of invented YA, or certainly helped invent the marketing strategy of YA, but Harry Potter reinvented it for the way that it exploded. So let's unpack that. How do you as authors straddle that line of writing books intended for teenagers, but kind of knowing, as you all are adults who also read YA, as am I, who you're beholden to? How do you straddle that line, or do you not at all? Do you forget the adult readers completely and just focus on the teens, or are you becoming increasingly aware that you do have an adult audience as well? Let's start with you, Astrid.
It's a really interesting question, and I have to say it's not something that I think of when I'm writing. The sort of books that I love to write and want to write are the books that I loved as a teenager. So I think for me, I'm really focusing on that teen, that teenager who was, you know, going to high school every day, sick of having so much homework, having issues with their friends, and just wanted this kind of escapist fantasy where things were exciting and fast-paced and immersive and cinematic. And that's what I loved, and that's what I was looking for as a teen, and that's the sort of things that I like to write. I think it is most important that we are, as YA authors, writing for teenagers, because that's what the category is for, it's for teens. But I do think that all these things appeal to adults because of the immediacy that you get.
I think it's hard because if you say, like, write something that a teenager likes, well, what does a teen like? That's like saying, write something an adult likes. Like, teenagers like all kinds of different things. They're not one, like, this is something all teenagers like. So I think for me, and I've only written one book, so it may change, I was really focused on thinking, and I do think there's a trap that you can fall into when you think, I'm writing for teens and I want to have a good message, and then it starts becoming really moralistic or you lose your authenticity. So for me, it was, okay, my main character is 18, I want to really focus on writing an authentic 18-year-old and writing a character that feels real at that age, and not really thinking about who's going to read this book. Not thinking too much about who's going to read the book during the writing, more focused on how am I writing a authentic teenager.
It's also kind of cringy if you try and write for teens now. It would all just be TikTok references, surely. Did I use that right? TikTok? Look at me. Look at me.
So hip.
Look at me. You use the word hip.
I think when I write my first draft, I write it for myself, because if I think about an audience, I like freeze and never get anything done because I'm so anxious. But I guess I write for, my teen self, because I know what they liked. Swords. I haven't written any swords yet, but I guess the kinds of things that I like to read, that's sort of what I am writing. And I guess in the editing stage, that's more when I think about the audience of people who are not me. And I think mostly my focus is on teenagers, but also queer adults, because, I don't know, they just...
Well, to be brutal, like, you can't turn any reader away as a writer in Australia. Like, you need every saying.
How do we take up space in our own pop culture when we are up against 50 million copies sold in America alone? Can we discuss those challenges and the necessity of needing to take up space? Nina, as a bookseller as well.
I was going to say, I'm a new author, so I don't think I've done a particularly great job of promoting my own book. But I think that my publisher has done a really good job, and I think a lot of it is down to, it's not up to the author can't throw money at it, the publishers have to. It's up to the kind of marketing campaign that you get in a lot of ways. Like, yes, books are sold through word of mouth, and good books do just naturally find readers, but good books find readers much more quickly and more widely when they're given great marketing campaigns. And to reach teenagers, there's kind of three areas. You've got to get booksellers behind the book to start hand selling it. You've got to get teachers and librarians to get behind the book, and then I think that you need a really strong presence on social media, and you need to find out sort of where books are being talked about online, and that's where you've got to get the book into the hands of the right people. And again, I think most of that responsibility falls on the publisher, not necessarily the author. Obviously, the author has to get out there and hustle and go to schools, go to events, and go to festivals, and go to events, and be available, but you can only do so much.
And very intimidating when you're up against imported publicity from America, for instance. So when another American teen author gets a Netflix series, then you have the might of Netflix up against the marketing as well, versus our little old marketing, where you can maybe have a dump box in a bookshop, maybe. Really, really difficult. Astrid, as someone who also, your book was originally published in the US, so you did have the might of US marketing, hence international bestseller. Can you talk a little bit about the difference maybe between selling in America versus selling in Australia? Even?
Yeah, I mean, it does come down to marketing, and I think one of the reasons I got picked up here was because I was sold in America. Because I did try and get picked up with other books, not with 14 Queens first in Australia, and I was told that speculative fiction is a small market in YA and it's very competitive, and all these things are true. And yeah, there is that space, obviously, that's being taken up more by American imports. So in the States, it's a bigger market. I wouldn't say it's easier to get in, because then there's also so many more people trying to get published in the States. And there are books coming out every week, especially in fantasy, in YA in the States. It's a juggernaut, and to stand out is very difficult, and that is when it comes down to marketing campaign and point of difference.
To also give you an example of, and this is sort of rough numbers, to give you an example of the difference, in Australia, a bestseller is 10,000 copies. If you've sold 10,000 copies of your novel, that's considered a bestseller. You can then put a sticker on the cover that says bestseller. You don't need to put a final note on it of 10,000. And obviously that's 10,000 in the first month would be really good. 10,000 over 10 years, not so good. In America, the general thought is that to become a bestseller that goes on the New York Times bestseller list, you need to sell 10,000 a week. So when you see those books like Marcus Duzak's that's been on the New York Times bestseller for 83 weeks, just think that's how many he's selling constantly, consistently. Hence, Hunger Games, 50 million copies sold in America alone. To give you some perspective. Alison, your perspective on this, but also in particular, I think in Australia, young adult authors in particular, and I know you do this, going out and talking to teenagers is a really big component of being a YA author here, more so than in America. But can you talk a little bit about the sort of boots on the ground work that you do as a YA author in Australia, which a large component of it is talking to teenagers constantly?
Yeah, I guess my favourite thing is really schools programs and writers' festivals. Just because you're talking to a room full of teenagers and you don't have to worry about sounding smart because they know if you're faking, and it's like, okay, I can just be myself and that will be fine, and I think they respect that. And I've only done a few school visits so far, mostly because I'm not sure how to get them, but they are very fun. I love doing like workshops.
And what about choosing to set your books in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, from an international, like trying to sell them internationally is a terrible choice. But like I grew up in the Dandenongs. I think it's just a part of me. Like it's my home. I don't live there anymore, but it is my home, and I can't help but write about it. I came prepared. Night Swimming by Steph Bow. It's beautiful. It's set in regional crush story, and there's no trauma, and there's also a goat.
And a ukulele, isn't there?
It sounds like there would be, I can't remember. And the Orphan Call series by Marley Jane Ward, which is I would have been obsessed as a teen. I'm obsessed now. It's like a dystopia set in Sydney, and it's like if capitalism was stepped up. It's terrifying. I love it.
It's really good. Nina, what's your recommendation?
Australian, I would say I'm Out with Lanterns by Emily Gale, and also the sort of companion book, The Other Side of Summer. She's just a brilliant YA writer and one that I have learnt a lot from. And in international, I think that Courtney Summers doesn't get enough love here, and she has a lot of books, a lot of great books. I haven't yet managed to read Sadie, but it's sitting on my list, her new one. But if you read Alison's Highway Bodies and you're looking for another zombie book, read that one first, then This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers is an amazing zombie book.
For Australian, I love Lady Helen and the Dark Days Club series by Alison Goodman. It's a Regency / paranormal, kind of like Buffy, but if she had to live in the Regency era, and it's beautifully researched and just a wonderfully fun book. And kind of similar for international is Kerry Maniscalco's Stalking Jack the Ripper series. She takes basically one infamous person from back in the 1800s, and actually it's 1800s, that's probably wrong, but it's a murder mystery. And yeah, the first one is about Jack the Ripper, then there's the Dracula one, and Houdini is the third one, and the fourth one is about the devil. So it's, lots of fun. It's not historically accurate like Lady Helen books, obviously, minus the paranormal. That is very historically accurate in its research, but it's a lot of fun.
My question is, Danielle, you said you would like to see more vampires in YA, seeing that revamped. What about the rest of you? What kind of theme or ideas or tropes would you like to see revamped in YA?
Oh, this is a good question, and I also want to see everybody scribbling down notes and ideas. Go. Who has the first one? Who has the first request?
I also am ready for vampires to come back. Love triangles, bring them back, always good.
Dystopia. I really like dystopians.
Yeah. I'm going to also say cli-fi. I think climate fiction is here to stay for forevermore. Cli-fi is kind of dystopian, but it's climate fiction. It's basically what's going to happen once the planet burns up. That's here to stay forevermore, I think, and I'm constantly excited and terrified by it. Alison, any requests?
Yeah, I think climate fiction as well. I had a short story published in Kindred, which is set in the near future. I think that would be pretty sick.
Terrifying. More questions? Hands. Oh, good. Another from the cohort. I saw all of you with your hands up. This is what I expected.
What is your most hated trope?
I really hate love triangles.
Me too.
Just feel like, let's all talk about boundaries, consider polyamory, like, let's be cool. I don't know, but also they are sometimes done very well and I do enjoy them. I don't know.
I don't think I hate any trope. I think any good writer can convince me to embrace a trope. But I thought I was a huge fan of enemies to lovers, and then it was announced that there's an American romance author who's writing a Republican, a Democrat that falls for a Republican, and I was like, no, that's a step too far. And it's set in the present day. This isn't like a cutesy Aaron Sorkin era Republican and Democrat. No, this is Democrat versus fascism. No, that's not sexy. No. So I think I'm finding that I have limits with tropes, interestingly. What do you hate, trope-wise?
I hate like university professor with student.
We all just did a whole room cringe. Astrid?
Mine is also definitely love triangles. I've never read a good one. I'm open to recommendations.
Academy.
So sorry, there are no easy ways or shortcuts. Even audiobooks take a few hours to get through. I'm sorry. You just got to read a lot and write a lot. That's it. And that's our final takeaway message. Can we just have a round of applause for these three fabulous people? And a thank you to the RMIT students and teachers who helped make the Odyssey Lit Festival a reality this year. Thank you very much.
Tell me what you're after.
A book loud, so I can read in bed and my partner won't get annoyed.
Hi, I'm back. My camera's precariously perched on a couple of items. So basically I went to the Odyssey Literary Festival, which was hosted by RMIT. It was amazing. I only went to one event, and I am not able to go to the last event, which is the launch of an anthology that my friend Lucy is partaking in. But I will get to read her poem, so I'm really excited. And yeah, so the event, as you saw, was all about YA and the power of writing YA and how it impacts the readers. And it was just really, really interesting. I took a lot of video footage for you guys. I also went to DMX afterwards and bought some books. Well, one book, which came with a free tote bag. It is the Book of Dust #2 by Philip Pullman. It's called The Secret Commonwealth, and I had to get the hardback because if you know me, you know that I have a severe case of being klutzy. If you've seen my Instagram, so this is the sequel to the Book of Dust. It is part of the His Dark Materials series, and volume 2 called The Secret Commonwealth. Let's look under the jacket, shall we? Oh, it's just a bare. Oh shit, it's got a poem on the side. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll probably insert an image here so you can see it. I'm really excited. I actually haven't read the first one, but I have read His Dark Materials, and it is a beautiful series. This you'll see in my October book haul. I may combine an October-November book haul for after I get back from Korea. We'll see. I hope you liked this video and you liked all the footage from the Odyssey Literary Festival. Sorry, I'm losing my words. I have not drank enough water today, so remember, drink water. I hope you enjoyed and have a happy, healthy day, week, month, year. Look after yourselves. Love you, bye.